Our next method for solving quadratic equations is to solve by using the quadratic formula. Before we talk about the quadratic formula, though, I want to talk about the discriminant. It's actually part of the quadratic formula, and what it does is it allows us to determine how many and what type of solutions we have for our quadratic equation that we are solving. So we're going to look at just a couple of examples of our discriminant solving quadratic equations, where all we're doing is determining how many solutions there are. Now, the discriminant itself is this b squared minus 4ac, and it is part of our quadratic formula. So this is our quadratic formula, which we're going to talk more about tomorrow, but you'll notice that the b squared minus 4ac is right here under the square root. So the entire quadratic formula, and this part right here is what we're looking at today. Now there's three cases that we can have, and these are the same three cases we talked about when we were graphing. We can have no real solutions, one real solution, or two real solutions. Now it all depends on the sign of your discriminant. If your b squared minus 4ac is less than 0, so if it is negative, then you have no real solutions. If it's equal to 0, you have one real solution. And if it's greater than 0, so if it's positive, you have two real solutions. Those solutions might be rational, they might be irrational, but there will be two real solutions. So this is the same thing we did with our graphs. Basically, you're going to have a negative discriminant when you have no x-intercepts. Your discriminant is going to be equal to 0 when your vertex is on your x-axis, and your discriminant is going to be positive when you have the two solutions, which is usually what happens. That's the case that happens most often. We're going to look at three examples, and we're just going to do our b squared minus 4ac. So notice I'm not solving here, I'm just finding the number of solutions. And before I do that, I'm going to point out I am in standard form. You need to be in standard form before you pick your a, b, and c. And I'm going to go and look at the graph of this so I know what I'm expecting. If I look at the graph of x squared minus 4x plus 3, you'll notice that I do have two solutions, 1 and 3. So I'm looking for my discriminant in this case for two solutions to be positive. All right, so let's find our discriminant. So first I'm going to choose my a, b, and c, same as it's been this whole time. Leading coefficient is 1, b is negative 4, and c is 3. And then I'm going to do b squared minus 4ac. So I'm going to replace the b with negative 4. You have to use parentheses there. I'm going to replace the a with 1 and the c with 3. So all I've done is substitute in my values for a, b, and c. Now I'm going to do my order of operations. So negative 4 squared is a positive 16. That's why you need the parentheses there. Negative 4 times negative 4 is positive 16. And then I'm going to go ahead and just multiply. 4 times 1 is 4, times 3 is 12. 16 minus 12 is 4. That is positive, so I have two real solutions. That's all I'm doing right here. I'm not actually solving. We're going to solve later. Right now I'm just determining how many solutions I have. Let's take a look at the second example. So again, I'm already in standard form. So x squared minus 2x plus 2 equals 0. I made these pretty simple. I'm going to look at the graph again so that I can decide how many I'm supposed to have. And you can see from here I've got no x-intercepts, so I should have no solutions. So with the discriminant for no real solutions, I'm looking for the discriminant to be negative. And I'm previewing by looking at my graph. Typically, if I look at my graph and know the answer, I wouldn't need to do b squared minus 4ac. I'm just previewing so I know what I'm expecting. So I'm picking my a, b, and c. Again, the a is the coefficient of the x squared, the b is the coefficient of the x, the c is the constant. and then I'm going to do my b squared minus 4ac. So I'm going to replace the b with a negative 2 using parentheses. I'm going to replace the a with a 1, and I'm going to replace the c with a 2. And then I'm going to do my arithmetic. Negative 2 squared is a positive 4, minus 4 times 1 is 4 times 2 is 8, which is negative 4. So because it is negative, I get no real solution. Okay, one more example. So this time I have x squared plus 2x plus 1 equals 0. Again, already in standard form, and I'm going to look at the graph of the corresponding function here, previewing so I know what I need, what I should expect. And you'll see on this one, my vertex is on my x-axis. So I'm going to get one solution. So what I'm looking for my discriminant, I am expecting for it to equal 0. So again, picking my a, b, and c. And then doing my b squared minus 4ac. So I'm going to replace the b with 2, the a with 1, the c with 1. Doing my order of operations, 2 squared is 4, minus 4 times 1 is 4 times 1 is 4. So I get 0. So I should get 1 real solution. And that is our discriminant. Again, it is part of our quadratic formula, which we're going to talk about for solving quadratic equations. It's such an important part, we kind of do it separate because it tells us how many solutions, how many real solutions we will have.